Hey out there. This is May 20th, 2016, here in Northern California, where it's just about 10 minutes past 10 in the morning. And it might start raining at any time, in which case I'll have to put a stop to the video to protect the equipment and do it somewhere else. But hopefully I'll get through and keep the stuff dry. Today I wanted to talk about what the rest of the nation needs to expect. And the gauge I'm using is the one that's happened here in California. And so what I call this is beware of the California-fication of the nation. And I want to tell people what you need to expect. You need to expect your housing prices to go up dramatically. This is your cost of living. This is your burden. So as there's less and less work, you're going to find that your expenses go up, and as minimum wage falls below, uh, anything it ever was previously, it continues to based on the cost of living scale. You go back 50 years, $1.50 an hour was, plenty of money for a guy who could support his whole family doing any job at all that was needed out in society. Pay the house payments, not just rent a house, but he could purchase a home anywhere in the nation and support the whole family. The wife didn't have to work often, if they knew how to budget themselves. And, I wanted to get into, the difference between fiscal prudence and fiscal madness. And I think anybody that's listened to any of my videos understands right away I'm neither what you could really call a conservative or a liberal, but I choose to take the best of both philosophies, really, because that's what we're talking about here, and put it all together. And my attitude is fiscal prudence is what we should shoot for. And whether that's a liberal policy or a conservative policy, I really don't care. I don't care. You take JFK, who was the most fiscally prudent president in history with his tax cuts, with giving the people sound currency. And well, you see what happens to guys like that. Okay, they don't have a happy ending because of what they do. But I don't care whether JFK was a Democrat or Republican, not one iota. Okay, and nobody else should either. I mean, this whole idea of party loyalty is just nonsense. This is more this whole idea of dividing the people unwittingly. And what we need to do is we need to learn the things that our overlords already well know. Okay, we need to get a few steps ahead of them. And in my estimation, I wouldn't bother making videos if I didn't feel like I had done that. I'm ahead of these guys, and I know that they exemplify the term deviant. Okay, that's what they are. They are deviant. And normal people cannot think the way these people do. The stuff that we're fixating on in our society that is just dissipating our energies is ridiculous. It's absurdist. I mean, we're going to talk about sex changes and unisex bathrooms that men and women share and all this. This is where we are in the 21st century. This is civilization. This is the Western world. This is where we are. While we've got people dying, getting their heads cut off in the Middle East through these dubious wars that are being started for profit, we've got to look at the madness here, the fiscal madness that is taking place. And California is a perfect reflection of that madness that's coming. It's going to try to sweep the nation. So those are the pressures you're going to face. More and more of these vultures out there are going to try to steal your homes through reverse mortgages. I mean, any little slight change in interest rates when people that have adjustable rate mortgages are going to start losing their homes. This is the whole idea. So that what you get is this huge separation, permanent underclass of renting class, and then this huge swath of landlords that are in cahoots with the government. How are they in cahoots? Well, with Section 8 housing. And so this is what allows the rents to keep soaring, okay, is that the government's subsidizing it, making the problem worse. Now, I've studied this long and hard, and I've had my California real estate license. I got into it because I wanted to develop truly affordable housing whereby somebody on a minimum wage job could once again have the things they had back 50 years ago. Okay, there's no excuse, no good reason, no justification, no basis why they can't, is my idea. So this is why I got my real estate license. I wanted to explore this possibility. And then I found out how political it is. And I don't mean political Democrat or Republican. I just mean political in the sense of revenue. Okay, the government is embedded in this industry. Okay, they have an interest in making sure the price for housing stays high. And you ask, well, why would they do that when they've got to subsidize it with Section 8 anytime somebody's too poor to afford their rent anymore? Well, the reason is because it's an offset. As long as the government figures their numbers are going up higher, faster than the worth of their currency is going down, the government workers really don't care. They just want to see huge revenue streams. That's the immediate, the short-sighted nature of their thinking. And what this does, it exacerbates a problem in the long term. The government comes in, subsidizes. Landlords that don't even need the subsidy use it anyhow because they're greedy. They want more and more and more. The more they make, the more properties they can go out and buy. This is how it works. It's a special interest group of investors, speculators, flippers, property management companies, landlords. The real estate companies are in there, real estate agents and realtors, and the lenders are all in there. All of them have an interest in getting the prices high. You understand? But at the end of the day, if you consider the majority of regular Californians, they have no interest in high housing costs. Okay, they don't benefit. They're just being hurt now at this point. They're renting, and so the government's paying. So they're subsidized like a snake eating its tail. It is unsustainable. It's untenable in the long run, like a Ponzi scheme, like a pyramid scheme. It can't go on in perpetuity indefinitely. It can't. It just can't. At some point, you hit a wall, people figure it out, and they say, well, this is stupid. When we look at it, we say it'd be cheaper in the long run if we just bought people houses that couldn't afford the rent. Okay, and then the government, once the loan is paid, it's done and done. You understand? No more. We're not paying any more for that person's home, their housing costs. But as it is, the landlords will keep raising the rents. They get rid of rent control, saying, well, that was a socialist thing that held us down. When really it wasn't. It was a regulation. It was a protection, yes. And it was a justified protection, just like having the Energy Commission, the Energy Board, your city council, where you can go complain about them raising your water rates arbitrarily because they want more profit, or raising your electricity rates. You understand? Those are checks and balances. This is oversight. This is accountability. This is rules and regulations that protect people, yes, as they should, from these monsters, these wolves, these market manipulators and price fixers, okay? So understand the point we're at. People are getting smart, and they're starting to figure out, hey, is this guy some wild-eyed liberal bleeding heart? Or, is he, actually a fiscally prudent conservative? I don't know. Call me what you want. I'm just trying to be sensible here. I'm just trying to be logical. I'm just trying to be fiscally prudent and say, how can we extricate ourselves from the mess we're in? And that the only way I know how is to deal with it head on. We've got so many problems out there, but people, they fixate on this little issue or that little issue when really, we've got to take into account the entirety of the situation and what it's going to take in the long run to really fix our societal problems so we can be happy and free, okay, liberated and secure, all those things. You can't have freedom unless you feel security. If you're living in fear of the financial, the money monsters out there, then you're not free. You'll never be free. So you cannot separate the two. Okay, they're inextricable qualities. Freedom and security go hand in hand, and that certainly has to embrace financial security, because this is what I'm talking about. This is what's bringing us down. This is what needs to be confronted. This is the storm on planet Earth today. And California is a microcosm, but this is the kind of thing that's going to spread across the country. Right now, across the country, there's still a critical mass of establishmentarians, people that are saying, hey, go along, get along, it's working good, my house is going up in worth, and for no good reason. And in real estate, they call this unearned increment, when for no explainable reason, you didn't do any improvements on your house, but now it's worth more just Because well, nobody says. It's because we manipulated the market, we're fixing prices, we're colluding all these different special interest groups to get your price up and to keep it there. So what it is essentially landlords that keep sending these fat checks into their mortgage holder, okay, and that all goes to the Federal Reserve bankers at the very top. It all benefits the guys at the very top the most. And there's huge division, this huge wealth disparity that keeps growing and flourishing. And we got to understand what's happening here and how it's happening through the debasement of our currency, through this market manipulation. When they raise your cost of living, the worth of your currency goes down. It's a very simple mathematical, equation here. So to understand the fundamentals is really very simple. They don't want you to think about this. Who is they? It's a subjective term, right? Well, we're talking about anybody that considers themselves smarter than you. These are the deceiving class. They got the one up. These are the con men out there. And they come in every shape and color and size and party affiliation, Democrats, Republicans. So it's all these people, all these different special interest groups, aforementioned special interest groups. This is a cross-section, liberals and conservatives, socialists and communists and capitalists, Democrats and Republicans. We talk about discrimination in our society today, and I think, you know what? I mean, did you know that there's laws if you ever learn real estate, one of the things you learn is that a landlord can be fully discriminatory toward somebody of a political party they don't agree with. So in other words, if your landlord's a Democrat, they can totally above board, outright, they could print an article about it, completely legal, to discriminate, say, no, you are a Republican, I will not rent to you, and vice versa. Okay, if it's a Republican landlord, they can do the same thing to a Democrat. Do you understand? So discrimination is A-okay when it comes to this issue. And you see how they divide us? They see, oh, this is the issue. It's because he's a Democrat. And now, if you were just all Democrats, would be all right, and I'd rent to everybody. Or if you were just a Republican. You see the madness here? And all this stuff is just happening right under our noses. All the degradation of our society through this decadence. We're fixating on these things that don't even matter. We're all sinking in the storm. It's like Peter walking on the water. When Jesus was walking on the water in the storm, and Peter saw him, and he said, "Well, Lord, how are you? What are you doing there?" And Jesus said, he says, "Can I come to you?" And so he said, "Yeah, well, come on out here. Just have a little faith." So, Peter starts walking on the water. But then he looked at the storm and he fixated and he got scared and he started sinking. So we don't want to do that, okay? To fight the New World Order cabal and all the associated sundry minions thereof, deceivers, we don't know. We don't have the wherewithal to judge these people. But it's a huge sundry group of people. And some of them are serving inadvertently. They don't know. Unwittingly, they're serving this beast system. And we're all serving it to some degree and acquiescing to it and become collaborators just by going along silently. We can't do that. We all have an obligation to speak out and confront it, not fixate. Because if you do, you'll go insane. I mean, my whole life, over 50 years, I've had to watch this thing unfold, okay? The debasement of our currency, which is the root of all our social ills. This is just a money game, okay? It's all a lie from the pit of hell. We've got to figure out a way to wean ourselves off the money through sound currency. JFK understood it. The mainstream media won't touch the issue anymore. It's all just crickets now when it comes to Executive Order 11,110. Nobody says, well, what was so controversial about JFK? Why do you think this is a conspiracy? And then you learn that he was busily abolishing the Federal Reserve bankers and already introducing and circulating a new currency, a new nationalized currency, this sound currency, these silver notes.